And we are live. Welcome. Thanks for joining us if you're joining us live, and thanks for watching if you're watching a recorded message. I am Jerry Sr., and this is Jerry Jr.,
Good morning.
and it's another Super Galactic Saturday. It's a cold Super Galactic Saturday. uh,
Yes.
at least here in so called sunny California, it's gotten cold finally. So it's a bit chilly, at least for us, for us Californians. We don't. I know the Midwesterners and the East Coasters are like, you don't know what cold is, right? Well, we got a little bit of cold, and we can't take it, of course.
Well, we'll get over it.
Yeah, we'll get over it. But thanks for joining us. And today we're going to talk about an interesting movie that Jerry Jr. brought up to me and recommended to watch. I did watch some of it. I haven't finished it, but I kind of jumped ahead, just full disclosure, and we watched like the third act and all that. So I'm
Yeah, you didn't,
familiar with
you didn't
some of
have
the
to out
themes.
yourself.
Well, I don't want to be like I watched the whole thing and I'm just movie
I mean,
connoisseur,
you
but
watched most of
I
it, but
watched
yeah,
most
I
of it,
get it. But yeah.
and we talked about it a little bit. It's a very interesting movie. I'm going to finish it too because it actually looks pretty good. Um,
Also, before we start, I also want to give a shout out to everybody who has contributed to the crowdfunding.
yes,
We
yes,
got 14 backers, and thank you so much for your support. We know you didn't
yes,
have to.
yes.
Just to remind
Especially
you that
during
it's
this
still
time.
up, and
How many
any
days are left?
10 days.
10 days left.
Uh,
So if you can
any
help,
of your feedback and support, financially or word of mouth, whatever it is appreciated because,
yes,
well, we do believe in this. So, and yeah, I think that it's a story that people really need in
yeah.
these trying times.
It's a story that will. The goal is to inspire you, encourage you, and allow some escapism. And just like the stories that both of us really grew up with, where you know they weren't about nihilism and all that stuff. It was about a hopeful future. And it's like I like to watch Patrick McDavid. He has a podcast. Shout out to him. And he talks about the future is bright. He likes to despite everything that's happening, he chooses optimism, and I agree with that. And I choose optimism as well. The future is bright, and the future is also what we make it. So
I,
our goal with this is to make a brighter future.
I think there are some good, decent mainstream comics out there. I don't know about
Yes,
Marvel. I'm more of a
yes,
DC guy.
yes. Same
But
here.
I think the problem is that the stuff that they like try to like push and market and elevate above the others isn't that. And it's kind of weird. Is that I was just reading this Superman comic about where Superman he's eating lunch with a construction worker, and I guess the construction worker is an ex-convict that Superman arrested before,
Yeah,
and he's what's the word I'm looking for? He's a rehabilitated, and he's talking about Superman about trying to raise his son because he's trying to keep him from stealing, and he's like, ah man, I don't want to be the one to chastise him because I'd be a hypocrite. And Superman's like, no, you're the exact person who needs to tell him this,
that's
and he's like, you don't have to come and check up on me, Superman. I'm not causing any trouble. And Superman's like, well, I'm not checking up on anybody. I just like to eat lunch with friends. And then he flies off, and it's really cool. It was really touching because it's like, yeah, this is Superman, and
yeah, yeah.
and it's
I
like,
agree.
and stuff like that you don't really see trailers for. They make the trailers for. It's everything else that's just weird.
Yeah,
So like
yeah,
these YA novels were you know about superheroes that are not superheroes. So, but
right.
it's
Far, far from it. Right.
yeah,
That's the whole point. Is yeah. It's nothing wrong with a Watchmen or something. Or Injustice. Fine. We can do a little bit of deconstruction, but it seems like it's kind of permeated and saturated the market. The marketplace, where it seems like it's everywhere. And our
Well,
goal is,
a lot of it's deconstruction for the sake of it. There's no
yeah, yeah,
real
it's not really
point
needed.
to be
Yeah,
made. Yeah.
yeah. And some of this, to be fair, like Invincible is a good example. It's been around for over a decade, right? It's not like,
Well, as someone who's read the end of Invincible, there's clearly it comes back around to where
yeah, yeah.
you know,
It's not, yeah, it's not completely hopeless, right? But
yeah,
yeah, it's like, but we, especially in Hollywood, the mainstream, they tend to revel in it, you know.
yeah,
But if you look at the indie space, there's a lot of awesome stuff that's inspiring and that's good, and you know, it's doing great things. It's celebrating greatness, celebrating the human condition, right? And triumphing over evil, and you know, and
yeah.
so it's still there. It's just, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't get the light of the mainstream. So that's why we're here, and so many others really, to shine a light on this other stuff that's out there that's really good and hopeful and wonderful, and yeah. So, and super galactic fantastic is among those. Like, that's our goal, is to contribute to that, to contribute to what's good in the world. So
Yep.
yeah, yeah, awesome. But thanks to everyone who supported so far, and thanks to those who plan to. And if you haven't yet, check it out. Go there, and and even if it's, digital version or whatever you can do, it's really appreciated, and we thank you for it. And yeah, and like and share it with your friends and family. Get the word out, and yeah, thank you very much.
Yep. So enough about. We're gonna talk about some indie comics now. Um, I just finished two more this week. One is definitely better than the other, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Um, so the first one I want to talk about is called "The Woman from Afro." This is another comic. Well, I mean, they're all stuff I got from Comic Con, but this is one of the ones first ones I got from Comic Con, and it's about this sort of secret agent, team of the way when I spoke to the author, the way he pitched it was uh, also author's Anthony Jefferson, that's his name, and the way he explained it was the wives of and the siblings of black revolutionaries from the civil rights era got
Hmm.
together in order to create this group to protect people in the shadows and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so the Afro stands for All Female Revolutionary Organization,
Wow.
and the artwork. To start with the positives, the artwork is really good. It definitely gives me a what's that movie? A lot of Pam Grier vibes.
Yeah, it
A
definitely
lot of
has a
'70s
black exploitation
exploitation. Yeah,
feel. Yeah, yeah.
I actually have this cover right here. This is the alternate issue one cover I have. I actually really like this cover. She never actually wears this outfit
Yeah.
in the book, unfortunately, but this one's definitely one of my favorites. And the artwork inside is pretty good as well. I really like the art style,
Yeah. Overall, it looks really nice, actually.
and there's actually a lot of cool action. They go the whole way with the secret spy stuff. She's got some cool gadgets, like her earrings. They turn into like flash bombs at some point and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool. Her necklace is like a recorder. Things like that. They
Yeah.
go the full James Bond. It's a 007 movie, but with Pam Grier. That's what it feels like, which
Okay.
is cool. Yeah, yeah. So the overall plot of this first issue is she's been assigned to basically play bodyguard for the scientist who apparently is invented this thing that will solve climate change, and so these these secret bad guys are out to kill him or kidnap him or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're at this gala and stuff like that. And the way the turn of events play out is a little weird, but we'll get to that in a minute. And overall, though, like I said, the action is really good, and I really like the dialogue for the most part. She the way that her and I wish I could show more of the panels, but they only have like a couple available on the on the website.
Yeah.
But the way they interact at first, the scientist isn't really uh, he's not really keen about being guarded around. You know, he's kind of I guess he's presented as kind of a snob, and he he kind of looks. I'm not gonna lie. You ever see that? Have you ever seen that hood meme where the the ratchet girl rejects the nerd for the thug, and then like a year later, you see the
Yeah.
thug
Yeah.
in the you see it, and he's like crunching, he's like gripping like dollar bills and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was really cringy, but
Yeah.
that's what he kind of looks like. He looks like the nerd. I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but
I
I just
wonder.
thought
You
that
never
was
know.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, these are cool T-shirts. So, but yeah, that's what he looks like in the book. Unfortunately, there's no panel that shows it. Unfortunately, but yeah. Um,
So, what's your assessment? Is it a good story? Is it solid, or
so here's the thing: the premise seems cool, but my issue is that the actual of the way the story unfolds is a bit confusing because the story begins with I need to get a camera so I could just flip through the book while I'm, you know what I'm saying.
I know? Yeah.
But the way we get introduced to this, you know, it's a gala in Chicago, right? So you know, oh, you got the red carpet and stuff like that. Guy, the comic starts out with this unrelated scene of a guy coming out of the limo, and he gets intercepted by. It looks like he's about to let his girlfriend out, but he gets intercepted by the secret spy lady, and they start talking. And she plants some kind of device on him, and then walks away. And then we never see that guy again in the comic. He just kind of disappears.
Well,
So
maybe later issues. You never know. Yeah.
sure, but like
Setting up a bigger story, perhaps.
maybe, but
Yeah.
the way the way the comic presents it, it looks like it was just for like a gag or something. Like it doesn't really make it clear because we don't see him again in the issue one.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
like,
that's what I'm
oh,
saying.
okay,
Hopefully, there'll be a callback, right? Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But so overall, this first issue.
But then what ends up happening is that also I just want to point out that there's a just for hopefully they can fix it. There's a seems like there was a typing error. What is it? Where she's talking to somebody, and the person says, "That was cool. You know, we got you a ticket right here." So they put. It looks like they. I don't know what they were trying. It looks like they were just trying to say, "You know, we got you a ticket, right?" But they accidentally put an extra "you" in that sentence where they didn't need to. So
Well,
just wanted to.
maybe it's a certain dialect. I don't know.
No, it I mean, if you look at it, it looks definitely. It doesn't read very well.
Yeah.
It looks like it's an error, and if it is a dialect, it's not
That's
conveyed
what I was
very
wondering.
well
Like, yeah, if it's supposed to be a
because
certain
that
kind
it doesn't. That's the only time where that happens in the book. So
Oh, interesting.
they should
All
probably
right.
fix that.
So
Um.
what's the next book you got?
So, well, I should probably say overall, I thought it was okay. Um. The action was good. It was a lot, and I do like the paneling. It's very dynamic. I would say if you like black exploitation movies, give it a chance.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
mean, I liked the overall look and tone of it. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
that vibe. So that's kind of cool.
So the other one that I really got into was Luchador. That guy you did meet at
Yeah, I remember.
the
Yeah,
the
he's a
Comic
cool
Con.
guy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So Allard Calcano is his name, and he is the author of a. He's author of two books. One about a luchador, and the other one about
Yeah,
kaiju.
kaiju. Yeah,
Now, what's funny is that I think we covered another. I don't know if I talked about it on the stream. I feel like we did, but there was another book that I
yeah,
got last time
yeah.
that
We
was
did.
about
We talked.
Matador. Yeah,
Yeah,
Matador
Matadors versus
monsters.
kaiju.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
that's
was just
right.
like, what is it? It's
And
like
actually, there was another book about a luchador that fights a kaiju as well, um, by Donald DeLay.
oh really?
Yeah, I mentioned it before, like weeks ago. Like it was a long time ago, but
Oh
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so this is another series where he touches on kaiju's and he touches on luchadors.
Yeah. So in this context, the luchador in question is a. Well, let me
Yeah,
actually
pull it up.
get the website. Ah, here we go. So this is by Last Bastion Studios. Here we go.
There we
Luchador.
go. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful artwork, by the way. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
really,
It's awesome.
really nice. Yeah.
So Luchador in question, he's like a bodyguard for like, and in this context, it looks like he's a bodyguard for like the mob or something. And in the world, so in this world, all the luchadors are called masks. They're just called
Right.
masks, and it's it feels like Pokemon battles, but with luchadors. Because it's like, yeah, I've got my mat, or like,
Well,
it
the
feels
question
like.
is, do the masks have significance insofar as like the power sets and all that? Or
So yeah, that's where they get their powers.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
the mask,
right.
but it feels almost like stand battles, almost
Huh.
like in JoJo. Like I've got my mask. Like the masks themselves are correct, but the luchadors themselves are just called masks. So I
Right.
thought that was kind of funny. But
Yeah, I like that. That's
so
clever. Yeah.
the mask in question, the protagonist, his name's King Jaguar. He's bulletproof. He's super strong, and he could. There's a one panel. I don't think I can show it where he literally punches a guy, and his face just explodes like Fist of the North Star style. Just explode. Eyes, balls pop out.
So it's
It's
pretty
great.
brutal to say the
Yeah,
least.
it's pretty great. It's the most brutal panel in the comic. Nothing like that happens again. But like when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna be that kind of story. Oh yeah, there he is putting on the mask. What is power? Yeah. So this one was awesome. So there's two protagonists in question. They're doing like some kind of deal, like underground deal, and it gets intercepted by the super spy lady, and it messes everything up. So King Jaguar has to fight the the mobsters that they were doing a deal with, and so the group he was with, King Jaguar, his group, they track the spy lady down. Turns out she's like a single mom who's like a gun for hire, and they sort of blackmail her into getting some secret documents from this mob boss, from this crime boss. And Jaguar, he doesn't do a whole lot of talking in the book. A lot of people talk for him. He seems to have a code of ethics, right? Like when they kidnap the son, right? He's not like torturing him or anything. They're like playing with Legos and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
He's not a monster, is what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. You know, he's got a code of
He has a
ethics.
code. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there she is. So yeah, so I'm guessing eventually they're gonna have to team up and to fight the mob boss that they're both after. And what's interesting that there was another character that we get introduced to. He's sort of like this average Joe character. His name's Andrew, and I think he works at he works no 9 to 5. You know, he has a shitty boss. You know that type of deal.
Yeah.
And we meet his mom at some point. He works at a diner, and she hates professional wrestling. And when the son asks her why, she just kind of dodges the question. So I'm wondering if the mom used to date King Jaguar, or maybe she knows one of King Jaguar's rivals. I don't know, but I'm guessing she knows about the masks and what they really are. Because
Yeah.
the guy, right? He just grew up watching pro wrestling on TV. I don't think he knows about, you know, luchadors with superpowers and whatnot. So I'm curious to find out how that uh, solves itself out.
Yeah. It's just interesting book. This
Yeah,
particular,
there we go. Yeah,
yeah, it's some dope artwork, some cool action.
yeah,
There's
there
like
it is.
a
Wow.
bonus story at the end, right?
There is, yeah. We
Yeah,
get introduced to the guy who's gonna fight the red demon.
yeah. So it's kind of it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's not bad. Some good
Yes,
humor. So I like
it's
it. I
pretty
love the
sick.
art though. The art is beautiful.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it really is. Page, the covers, of course, but definitely even the interiors are just
absolutely.
beautiful, beautiful work. Lots of great detail. Color choices are spot on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
So
there it is.
definitely check it out. And very, I mean, we don't see a lot of luchador. At least I haven't. Themed comics. I've only seen a couple before this. So
It's a shame because Lucha. I feel like the luchador archetype lent itself well to superhero stories
yeah, yeah,
because
it
of
does.
the mythos that already surrounds real luchadors. I was talking about it with Mr. Cogno. Like, there's a bunch of like old movies where like black and white movies where it's just luchadors going on adventures and stuff like that. It is printed, and you could buy it on on the website Last Bastion Studios.
Yeah, yeah. And look, uh, I like it. So
Yeah, it's awesome.
definitely
Oh,
plan to
so fun
get
fact.
more.
So this is a little Easter egg on the screen. The turtle with the machine gun for a hand, the
Oh yeah,
toy. So that's a callback to his other comic. So
right.
in,
Yeah,
in the luchador world, that is a famous series of movie monsters.
right.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. But yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, like
I kind of
potentiality
I
for
kind of want to see an
crossing them
actual.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. But yeah, he's setting up something really cool here. So
Oh yeah. So it's awesome. Check out Luchador. This it's I'd 100% recommend. And it's a hefty book. I just realized picking it, I'm holding it,
yeah,
and
it's
I don't know
it's
how many pages exactly, but it's a lot.
beautiful print work. Yeah, it's nice. So
Comes
definitely
with
check it out.
concept art
I
in the
highly
back.
recommend it as well. So yeah, solid stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So those are the two comics. Luchador, obviously, I really like. One from Afro. I hope that a lot of the story beats get solved in the second issue. Sometimes, I guess for me, like I don't think there's anything wrong with cliffhangers. I kind of need a cliffhanger for like a serialized comic.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's just it's based on writing style and everything. So we'll see where. That's why it's like you can get a first issue and kind of get a sense, you know, but it's like you definitely got to get at least a couple of issues in where you get a solid understanding. Like, oh, I see where it's going, or I see you know like what's being set up. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, El Santo Are you familiar with El Santo?
The
That name
Saint?
sounds familiar. I believe so. Yeah. Um,
I don't think I am.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's a Mexican luchador. He's one of the most famous ones.
Ah, okay.
He's like a folk hero. I remember reading somewhere like there was this urban legend where if you took off his mask and you looked at his face, like he would die or something.
Really?
Like that's how serious it is.
That's cool.
Yeah, him, El Santo. There was one called the Blue Devil. Um, that was really popular, really famous. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head. There's the El Hijo del Santo. He's another really famous one, the son of the saint.
Hmm.
Obviously, that I don't know if that's his real son, but that happens a lot where the son would inherit the mask. I mean, you see it. I mean, if you play Tekken, then you know about King and King Junior.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I
good
used
stuff.
to watch the wrestlers when I was a kid on Channel 52. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
luchadors and all that. It was wild. Like it was, it was crazy. And I never imagined that it would become something so, so endearing and popular, and you know, so it's pretty cool. It's kind of cool seeing this stuff,
Oh yeah.
because like I said, as a kid, you don't think much of it. Like roller derby, I used to watch the roller
Hmm.
derby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you just watching it because you're like, okay, this is fascinating. Like people are flaying themselves into other people and going in this big circle.
People, yeah,
Luchador
yeah.
is so flashy, like the masks and the colors, and the capes, and you know, it was just fun. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I like the idea of taking it to another level where it's like powers and everything. You know, so it's pretty dope. Check it out if you get a chance. So
Oh yeah. Let us know if anybody out there who has these comics already, Woman from Afro and Luchador. Let us know what you guys think in
yeah,
the comments
definitely. If you
below.
if you've read them already, give us your take. I would love to know, especially if there's something unique about it that we haven't touched on or haven't brought up.
That's true because I just have issue one, so you know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, moving on, we're gonna talk about this movie.
Oh yeah.
This movie you recommended. It's an old movie. It's from 1977, I believe,
Yes. So
and it's called Proof of the Man. And
yeah.
one
So
thing before you go forward, I wanted to point out some things because you know, uh, one thing you're into like old movies and all, which is really cool. So more so than I'll ever be, because maybe because I take it for granted because I grew up during these time,
yeah.
But yeah, you're totally into this stuff. So, but also, um, and we'll get into it. But there's some interesting faces
Oh yeah.
in this movie that I recognize. And I'm
Yeah.
watching. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, I know that
Oh
actor.
yeah.
I've seen that
Hmm.
person. So yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So Prove the Man, 1977 movie by director Junya Sato. This is the only movie that I've seen him do. He tends to do a lot of sort of I don't say a lot, but he's done other international type movies before. Like he has a movie called The Silk Road. Obviously, it's about the Silk Road. But he also has another movie called what was the name of it? He was in another movie by called Virus. Actually, it's different director. Actually, Kinji Fukusaku directed Virus. My apologies.
Okay.
But funny enough, both movies feature George Kennedy, which
Yeah.
means yeah,
If you're not familiar with George Kennedy, right? That's the guy
Cool Hand
from.
Luke.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, my first thought was the Naked Gun movies.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's like
Oh, yeah,
I was
I
like,
forgot.
yo, I love
I
that
li-
guy.
I literally just watched all three Naked Guns like a few weeks ago. That's funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious, like seeing him, and not only that, but he's playing a cop,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like at a straight cop. Like it's he's playing it straight. Like he's not.
Yeah,
It's not for gags or for comedy.
yeah. To
It's
think the next
he is
time he
like
shoots somebody, he might get arrested.
so yeah. It's like there he is here. George Kennedy. Uh, Guy is funny. I used to
Hmm.
love seeing him in the Naked Gun movies and everything. Um, may he rest in peace. But it's like seeing that, I'm like, yo, I know who that is. I like that guy, right?
There's a few all stars in this movie, but we'll get to that. I mean, there's an all star cast all around from
Yeah,
both
but
coasts.
and this is the thing. I want to point out another person, which is interesting. We don't really see her again, I don't think, throughout the rest of the movie. But you see her at the beginning, okay,
Hmm.
and that's this person, Theresa Merritt,
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
who
Hmm.
was the mother in That's My Mama. She was
Yep.
also another mama in The Wiz,
Yep. That's right.
right? And she's obviously has a long career, uh, you know. But that's where I recognize her. She was in Billy Madison, which I got to go back and watch Billy Madison because I'm like, oh yeah,
I never saw Billy Madison.
So yeah,
I know about That's My Mama.
yeah. So it's like I was kind of like, dang, it's sad that she only has like a couple of scenes in this movie,
Yeah. There's
But
also
yeah, that's like it's pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah.
cool seeing that.
There's also Robert Earl Jones is in this
That's
movie as
right.
well. Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
he plays the father of one of the characters in the movie, who's played by Joe Yamanaka. Joe Yamanaka, uh, he's Japanese of Caribbean descent. His father, which is funny because it kind of almost ties into the movie. His father was a U.S. Army soldier
Hmm.
who, and his mother is Japanese, and his father he didn't he didn't know his father because he met him. They met in a brothel or whatever.
Yeah.
There's the whole there's the whole thing with the comfort women in Japan and stuff like that. So he's
Right.
basically born from that, which is funny because that ties into his character in the movie.
Yeah, it does very
So
much.
fun fact: Joe Yamanaka was actually good friends with Bob Marley to the point where he ended up spearheading the Whalers after he passed away in
Wow.
1984, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So something to think about. And then another all star on the Japanese side is Yusaku Matsuda, who is one of Japan's. Both Joe and Yusaku are sort of considered one of Japan's classic tough guys. He's the main character in Detective Story or Tantei Monogatari. He was the inspiration for a lot of anime characters: Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop,
Right.
Aokiji from One Piece. I don't know if you recognize
Yeah, yeah,
Aokiji.
I did. You see,
Yeah.
when I saw him in the movie, that's the first thing I thought was Spike Spiegel. I was kind of like,
Oh yeah,
I get
yeah.
that vibe from this dude, right? So
So that's
yeah,
what.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
pretty
it's
dope.
purposeful.
And really, the whole movie, it's a. I don't know if how many people are, what the generations are, but that are watching, but
Yeah.
it's when you watch this movie, it feels like like a 1970s, you know, action movie. Like I mean, it is a 1970s, but it's like it's all there, like everything, the car chases, the drama,
Oh yeah.
it's like, and it's well done. I do have some criticisms,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but overall, it's actually a really really cool story.
Oh yeah.
Um, and if you like
Rest.
if you like Columbo,
Hmm.
right? You'll definitely love the story about it because it has that kind of vibe to it. There's a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
mystery and a lot of interesting twists and reveals. Um, yeah, and it kind of throws you off. They pulled a Gurren Lagann, right? You know, where you thought this particular character was going to be the main character, and then
Uh
then you find out, oh, that's not the main character.
I see what you mean. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Like so, when you watch it, you're gonna be watching this one character because I don't want to like spoil it, but you're gonna be watching this one character, and you're gonna think, okay, it's all about this character.
Yeah. Well,
Then
yeah.
about 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, you're gonna find out, oh, it's not about this character. Like that's not the main character. We're not gonna be following this guy around, and you know, so just be prepared.
Yeah. So we won't spoil it yet. We're gonna get into the plot first. So basically, what happens is there's this. It's what happens is they have to solve this mystery about this about a murder of a guy named Johnny Hayward from New York. He
Yeah,
receives
it's from
a
New
ton of
York.
money, buys some new clothes, and takes a flight to Japan. After he arrives, he's found fatally stabbed in an elevator in a Tokyo hotel. At the
See,
same time,
you just gave away the whole thing.
no, I didn't.
Just spoiled it for everybody.
What was I didn't spoil anything yet. What are you talking about?
That's true.
That's the
That's
beginning of the movie. That's
I
supposed to be
know, but
starting.
still, you know.
We don't even know anything about Johnny yet. But anyways, I mean, we have to talk about the plot in order to. I know
Well,
that. Yeah.
don't give away everything. Just listen. Go watch this movie.
Well, hold on a second. Because we have to talk. Because we have to. Hey, I wanted to. There's two reasons why. There's two reasons why I
Yeah,
wanted to discuss this
yeah,
movie.
yeah. There's some really key scenes. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So, well, there's two reasons why I wanted to discuss this movie. So, I mean, even if I spoil something, it's not gonna. You gotta experience it. But anyways, a so what ends up happening is uh, the detective Munesue, that's how you say his name, who's played by Mr. Matsuda, has to team up with an American cop who is what's his name? George Kennedy.
Yeah, George Kennedy.
George Kennedy. I want to make sure I got his name
Well,
right.
eventually, like first, it's they're in Japan and
Yeah, they start off separate, but they
they
team up
follow
later
the
in the movie.
clues, yeah, and it takes them to New York where he
Well,
came from.
both of them are working simultaneously on the same case at first from their respective countries, but then
Yeah,
they
right.
they converse together at the end of the movie. So Rosman said, if there's nowhere we can really watch it, is it spoiling? There's no,
No, actually, there is. You can. There's a link. We'll share the link.
we'll show the link.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this, as far as I know, unless you have a VPN, of course, um, uh, there's no watching this on like Netflix or something. Unfortunately, which is a shame because
Yeah, it's not
I
on.
think
Yeah,
it's a really good movie.
you might be able to find it on. Well, I was gonna say maybe Amazon, but
Maybe we'll,
that's a big maybe because they got a
yeah,
lot of old movies on Amazon. So
yeah,
from the '70s and everything. So they actually might have it. But we have a link. We'll share it.
yeah. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up this movie is because you hear a lot of there's a lot of commentary, right, within the Zig guys on diversity and stuff like that
Yeah.
and whatnot. And I would say I feel like this was a very diverse movie. Not just
Yeah.
because it was,
Yes.
it was a very international movie. It was a collaboration between East and West, right? Like
Yeah.
I said, we just George Kennedy. You had uh, Yusaku Masuda, but you also had, you know, prominent black actors, Robert Earl Jones,
Yeah.
Joe Yamanaka, and
Not only
my
that, but
mama.
yeah, the venue changes from Japan back to New
Yeah,
York and back again. It's yeah.
but
It's
there's also there's a wild, there is a there's a variety of depictions of different characters in the movie, right? Because whenever diversity gets brought up, it's always about optics, right? Oh, you can't have the black character be, a criminal, but it's like listen, this is 1970s New York City, right? So like, the stuff is just going down, right? Like the when we get introduced to the American cop, um, he's like stopping a burglary at like a liquor store and stuff like that, and the perpetrators are black, but it's like it's like it's like it's me like if anybody because I surely didn't. Anybody who grew up in 1970s New York City knows what it was like. So it's like I don't think, based off of what I've heard from people and read and seen in documentaries, their depiction of New York is not like
It's
enacted
pretty
and stuff like that.
straightforward. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not it's not um purposely, you know, stereotypical in that sense. It's
no,
and that's and one but it's kind of interesting, like one of my criticisms, right? Just because I mentioned this to you before,
yeah,
right? It's at the beginning where they have this very, very long scene. So just FYI, like brace yourself. At the beginning, there's a long scene because one of the key characters is a fashion designer. So there's a big fashion show, and you have the runway, and you got the models, and they're coming out in all these different outfits. And I believe all the models are black women, right?
yeah,
So it's kind of fascinating seeing this, but they're in Japan. This is in Japan,
hmm
and they're modeling these beautiful clothes and all this stuff. And but it's a long scene. And it's unnecessarily long. Like it's like we didn't need all this. Like we did, but it's kind of a reflection of the time because it made me think of Mahogany, right, which is another '70s movie with Diana
yeah.
Ross and Billy D. Williams, and it had scenes similar to that. And I kind of wonder. I have to look it up. I haven't looked it up, which came out before what, right? Because I kind of wonder if that was a reference to Mahogany or maybe it
Mm.
was vice versa. Like maybe one was inspired by the other. Because it's
Well,
like,
when did
yeah, but
Mahogany
Mahogany
come
makes
out?
sense because I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I need to look it up because it makes sense in Mahogany because the main character is a fashion designer.
1975.
Yeah, so that's 2 years before this movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's like they really go in on the fashion, and you know, like I say, it's a long scene. But I'm watching it
Yeah, that's
going,
what I'm
what is the purpose? Like, how does this tie in
saying.
with this? This guy that just left New York. And I was thinking, oh, maybe he was a fashion designer. I don't know. Like maybe he's a model. He's gonna walk out in some cool suit or something. I don't know. And but yeah, it's like 7 minutes, 7 minutes, I think, or 8 minutes. Um, and but you know, you realize, oh, okay, there is a connection. You see that later in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's very diverse. Like we talked, like you mentioned, this whole idea of representation and diversity. And it's funny because this movie, it hit all you
Yeah.
know those check boxes, so to speak, right? But it didn't feel contrived or forced, and in fact, it addresses um, a real issue that happened,
In
back
World War
in
Two. Yeah.
World War II with a lot of soldiers, Japanese soldiers, etc., and American soldiers, and uh, but once again, it feels very nuanced
Yeah.
uh, and authentic. It
Extremely.
doesn't feel ham-fisted or forced.
Yeah.
And fair warning to people who might be very sensitive. There is a essay scene. It's not graphic like super. But there
No.
is a scene
Yeah.
where a woman is, you know, she's essayed by
She's being taken
some
advantage of
soldiers.
by
Yeah,
some
yeah,
American soldiers. Yeah.
yeah. So if that bothers you, just fair warning if you're gonna watch it. But it is a scene that was sort of necessary for the story because it plays into the overall plot and sort of the motivations of some of the characters. And it's once you get to that point, and that's kind of my criticism is that you have these long scenes, that are, I guess they're designed to set up things, but I think they spend like a minute or two too long, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
But when you get to that third act, right, that third, it all comes together and it makes sense, and you realize, oh, like that's why, right? That's you know,
Yeah.
and it's like I said, if you like a series like Columbo or something, you'll like this movie because with Columbo sometimes, most of the episodes you already know who the murderer is, and it's just
Yeah.
him proving it, getting on their nerves long enough to prove it.
Right.
This you don't really know until you get to that final act, right? You start to put the pieces together, and it's nice because it's like some of it's kind of like, oh, like I didn't see that coming, right? And yeah, it comes together quite nicely. So and yeah, like I said, it's very powerful, and you do feel the emotion of uh, some of these characters, even ones that should be condemned for their actions, right? You do kind of empathize with them a bit. So yeah,
Yeah. So and then now I won't spoil anything, but another thing that because the movie's called Proof of the Man. Like, what is the proof of the man?
yeah.
And you know, a big part of it is what's to this accountability and what's the word I'm looking for? I guess discipline or justice
Well,
versus. There's a big
yeah,
theme of justice versus vengeance. There's a
yeah,
lot of themes
and
of
it's also taking the high road, right?
yeah,
Like what is like the proof of a man, right? Is a lot of things because there's different kinds of men in this movie, right?
yeah,
Some of those men, they're creeps, right?
yeah,
Some of the men are just men, like the character that Kennedy plays. He's a cop and everything, and he does the best he can. He did have a past, right? And mistakes were made, and it's clear he's different, right?
yeah,
But you understand what I mean? It's like so there's redemption, right? And owning up to you know past bad choices, and also dealing with the consequences of those bad choices.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so yeah, it's there's a lot of that, and like I said, you if you watch the movie like at face value, like you upon seeing it, you'll think, oh, this is an old '70s movie. It's gonna be kind of goofy or something. Um, no, I'm serious. Like you see a lot of movies, and but it's not. It's very deep, and it does get dark.
yeah,
But yeah, at the end of the day, it is about owning up to past mistakes, right? And being accountable,
yeah,
you know. And that's especially for one of the guy that ends up being sort of the main character, which is one of the detectives.
yeah,
That's what it comes down to is he presents one way at the beginning, right? Because it's kind of he's eager, he's kind of a hothead,
yeah,
he's gung ho, right?
yeah.
And so you almost expect him to do what he ends up not doing, right?
Oh yeah,
You wouldn't be surprised if he did just follow through and just did it. And but he makes well, I'll leave it to you if it's a better choice or not, but it's contextually it's definitely a better choice, right? He
I
takes
I
he
I
chooses the
personally
high road.
think I would say he made the right choice.
Yeah, yeah, he chooses the high road, and that plays into it's the topic is or the theme you can say is racism and sort of how it plays out, especially during the war and everything, and sort of how it manifested. It was different for a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
For the Japanese, it was different. For blacks, it was different, right? And though, but those roads sort of converged during the war, right? And
yeah,
then even for women, right? Like there's definitely a commentary about how women were perceived and treated. You know,
yeah.
even women who were in relationships or who had husbands, right, weren't necessarily treated well just because they were married, right? And we saw that kind of play out a bit, and the idea of wealth and how wealth plays a part,
Yeah,
in a lot of our decisions and why we do what we do.
yeah,
Especially when we get to that third act, you realize, wow,
yeah. It's
you
it
know,
gets crazy.
all for that dollar, for that prestige, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's man, you know,
But it did it in such a natural way to where it's like you just had to see things happen, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
a lot of modern movies would like there would be like a 5 minute diatribe about this, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's like no, had to we just had to watch the characters make their decisions as they naturally would, and
yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it all plays out, and like I said at the beginning, the first act especially might be confusing because, like I
Right.
said, you think this guy's the main character, you find oh that's not him. Then some other things happen with some other characters, supporting characters, and you're like, what the heck does this have to do? You
Yeah.
know, and but you find out eventually it does tie in. It does tie together. But yeah, at first, yeah, it was kind of like, hey, why is this happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because it, but they are, you know, I think when they say that the true testament of a good story is like if a story falls apart in the third act, it's because mistakes were made in the first act, right?
Right.
And so this movie is very thorough in establishing that first act so that when you get to the third act, it all comes together and you're like, oh, that's why, right? So it does a good job of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But
But like I
I
said,
I
I
just
think
want
some
to point
scenes are
out
just too long.
something Rosmain said. This sounds serious. I'm guessing nobody goes. This ain't Chinatown. Yeah,
Yeah, thankfully, yeah, no,
no,
it's not.
that does not happen.
Yeah, it's not that on the nose, but yeah,
So, and also, I wanted to answer Rosma's question. How did I find this? So, I have. So, in case you don't know, I have a music podcast called Come Along Radio, where we discuss the history of Japanese music.
that's right.
And one of my favorite composers, who happens to have done the music for this movie,
Right,
his name is Yuji Ono. If that name does not sound familiar, Yuji Ono is also the composer of the Lupin the Third series, like
right.
the entire series.
Yeah,
He does
that's right.
all the music. You and His Explosion Band is what it's called, which is the greatest name for a band ever. Um, but yeah, he does the movie for the Lupin series. He also has done music for other uh, movies and television series as well. You know, Mighty
Yeah,
Orbots.
yeah, that's right.
He
Yeah,
did the music. He did some music for Mighty Orbots.
yeah, and the music's good in this movie. It's
Oh yeah,
yeah, it really
uh,
works.
the
Yeah,
titular track "Proof of a Man" is sung by. I feel like it always feels like this movie was made with Joe Yamanaka in mind, considering his character. It's called
interesting. Hmm.
the song is called "Mama, Do You Remember" by Joe Yamanaka,
Yeah,
and it kind of the song spoils the movie, so you gotta watch the movie.
I
But
know,
it's a
especially at
beautiful
the
song.
beginning. Yeah, that's true,
Yeah,
especially at the beginning, because that's the thing. Like I said, it throws you off.
yeah,
You're kind of like, what? And then, yeah, with the big
mm,
reveal later, you're like, oh wow, like yeah.
oh
So
yeah,
it's worth watching. Don't ignore this rating on IMDb where
yeah.
it says
IMDb's dumb.
8.6. Yeah, this is not accurate, in my opinion. I would put it as in my opinion, it's actually way higher. I would put it more closer to like a eight.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
easily an 8 out of 10,
Yeah,
eight
like
point
it
five.
really is a good movie. It's worth watching. Like I
Absolutely.
said, the biggest thing, the two biggest things for me was the long scenes, and like I said, there's only a couple of long scenes. It's not the whole movie, but definitely at the beginning with the fashion show.
Yeah, it's a little slow. I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
most 70
it's a slow
movies
burn. Yeah,
are.
it's a slow burn. But then, because there's some other scenes too where the detectives are investigating, and and it's very thorough, right?
Yeah.
'Cause they want an ironclad plot for this movie, so they're very thorough in how they go
Oh
about.
yeah.
But yeah, it's so that's one. But then, like I said, the essay scene is like I said, for some might be a little much, and but it does play into the plot of the movie. Like it's an important scene, but yeah, if you're easily sorry about that. If you're easily disturbed by those things, then yeah, you're fair warning, right?
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm a big fan of Yuji Ono and his stuff, and I also you know like I said, I'm a big Bob Marley fan. So doing some research on uh, the history of the Wailers, I discovered Joe Yamanaka, and then when I looked into Joe Yamanaka, I found this movie.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's kind of how that happened. He's also in Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman. If anybody recognizes that,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah. So uh, Joe's in a few stuff. Like I said, he had his own band called the Flower Traveling Band back in the '70s. They were like a psychedelic rock band with a mixture of like heavy metal. And then later on, after the death of Bob Marley, he had a stint as the leader of the Wailers.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah, he
pretty
had a
cool.
pretty cool career. But yeah, I mean, this movie. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of all stars in this movie
Yeah,
from all
yeah, especially
directions.
if you're my age,
Yeah,
you're gonna see a lot of
yeah. So
faces.
if you're an anime fan, watch this movie for Yusaku Matsuda. If you're a fan of you know the Naked Gun or Cool Hand Luke or any old cop show, watch this movie. If you're a fan of great jazz music, great '70s jazz music.
Yeah, it's a lot of good music.
Oh
It-
yeah,
yeah, really is.
I love this soundtrack. I mean, I love all of Yuji Ono's. He doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss. I don't know what to say. Like I say, he's done something for everybody. Um, it's kind of crazy. I remember, like I said, Mighty Or. I actually didn't know about Mighty Orbot until I just looked it up.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's pretty awesome.
But that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, so he's awesome.
So Rosman says some IMDb raters think they're rating the entire production down to the catering.
Down to the kid.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, like you know, who knows? That's a good point. Yeah. So
Yeah, rather than just plot and
yeah,
execution. Yeah.
yeah, I do think yeah, it deserves a lot higher because it is a solid watch. And look, it has everything. If, like I said, if you like Columbo, if you like Starsky and Hutch,
Hmm.
it's got car chases, it's got shootouts.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's a great movie. It's a great sort of detective drama action movie. So it has it hits all the bells and whistles. It's a good watch. Like I
Well,
said, Mike, the biggest thing for me is just that a couple of long scenes where it's
yeah,
like, all right,
yeah.
yeah, let's move past this. Right? But I put
Right.
the link in the comments, so check it out. Um, so far it's free. So if you want to watch
Yeah.
it, it's called jp-films.com. So yeah, and thank you Jerry Jr. for finding this gem because like I said, I
Mhm.
enjoyed it, and I'm gonna finish watching because like I said, I had to jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm gonna watch it all the way through because it's got me pulled in. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Rosman also asks, does Kennedy hit the Japanese detective
Mm.
hit the Japanese direct detective to Miranda rights, or did he just let him roll with it?
Oh, I know,
Uh,
huh?
uh, well, watch the movie and find
Yeah,
out.
watch and find out. 'Cause I was gonna answer, but I'm like, no,
I'm sure you can guess, but yeah,
you'll
watch
be
the movie and
surprised.
find out.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. Like, but yeah, there's some interesting scenes. Like it's especially the dynamic with the American cop and the Japanese cop.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah,
definitely
that's
do a. They make the effort to highlight the cultural
yeah,
procedural
yeah.
differences between.
Especially in light of like the twist and everything, and
Oh yeah,
um, like just imagine if it was done in the '90s, it would be some like buddy cop comedy nonsense, right?
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they wouldn't take it seriously at all. It would turn into not that it would be bad to have
Look,
a
I
film.
like Rush
Yeah,
Hour. This is not Rush Hour. This
yeah.
is the exact
This is not
opposite of Rush
this
Hour.
is well. This is Rush Hour if they actually took it seriously, right? If they did not cast Chris Tucker
Give me the
and,
Inquisitor.
and said we're gonna play this straight, right? This is not a comedy. because it's just as entertaining. And like I said, there's some great moments and some great twists, character twists and everything. So yeah, it's actually really good. I can't say enough about it.
The title already pulls me in. Afro says, "Proof of a Man," sends me chills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely and
yeah.
yeah, it's a very constant theme throughout.
Well,
Uh,
I when I first watched it, I didn't get why it was called it that until the third act, and I was like, okay, it all comes together.
yeah, exactly right. You start to
And
see, yeah, okay, like why why it even says that? Like it's yeah.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it's because a lot of the characters, a lot of the men in the movie, they make they're a product of their choices, right?
Yeah, I mean, as we all
And
are. I mean,
especially in relation to the war and everything, and after the war when they came back and things, decisions that were made, and based on what happened, it's there's some tragic things, and you know, yeah,
I love it when a movie comes together.
yeah,
Hannibal, probably.
yeah, yeah. Like seriously, it does come together. They tie together very well, and that's kind of the treat is that, like I said, it starts off where you're kind of like, okay,
Hmm.
but if you get to the second act, you'll start to see, oh, okay, it's getting interesting, and
Oh yeah,
they tie it up in a nice bow. So yeah, definitely check it out. I definitely give it an 8 out of 10. Um, so
yeah, same thing. 8 out of 10. I feel like the soundtrack by itself elevates it to an 8.5.
fair enough. Yeah,
But
yeah. The
yeah,
soundtrack
eight
is
point
good.
five out of
So,
10.
yeah,
Not just because it's jazz, but because it fits. One thing that Yuji Ono is good at is he's able to. One thing I miss about old movies in general is when the the music is simultaneously catchy and it fits the emotion of the scene.
yeah. The it fits the tone of the movie, and the music in this movie really does. It helps definitely drive the overall theme and the tone.
Absolutely.
It's there. Yeah. Rosemarie says, "Gotta stick the landing." The ending. Yeah, I agree.
Hmm. Oh,
It's
it
like
does.
gotta have a solid ending. And that's the thing. If you have a weak ending, it's because the first act was weak, right? Because you didn't set something up, you missed something. And so if the movie ends and you're like, "What?" It's because
Hmm.
the first act was weak,
Oh no,
right?
that never happens. That, for me, never happened. Now there was a remake that they did. Fuji TV did in 2004.
Mm.
They turned it into a 10 episode miniseries. Um, Not as good.
Yeah, yeah,
It seems like whenever they remake Fuji TV, this isn't the first time they remade an older Japanese movie for television. I think 2000 Japanese TV in 2004 kind of has this vibe where everything looks kind of cheap and
so
like
like American TV.
yeah, but not in like a endearing way. It just I don't know. It just and plus they changed certain aspects about the ending to try to make it more optimistic. But in my opinion, it
Yeah, because that's television, that's Hollywood, and that's
yeah.
censors, and there's probably a whole lot that went into that.
Oh, probably yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it, but yeah.
The Afrocentric Jukebox says he mentioned the Gurren Lagann. All I needed to hear. Yeah, I mentioned Gurren Lagann because there's an aspect at the beginning where you think a certain character is, and you already mentioned it. He gets murdered, right?
Hmm.
You think he's the main character, and he is not the main character. And it's kind of like, what? Like I have to admit, when I saw it, I had to pause and I went back to make sure that was the same guy.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, wait
yeah.
a minute, let me go back because is that the same dude? Yeah, same suit, hair. Yeah, it's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, that's not what I expected. But so yeah, so that's why I mentioned Girl Laga because it kind of pulls that okey doke on you, right?
Right, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's
Rosman says the remake series comes up easily when you search IMDb. had to work for the 77 versions.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. The movies, the 77 version is better. Thankfully, you can actually listen to the entire soundtrack on YouTube for Putin.
Nice.
So there's that. Soundtrack's great.
Awesome.
Funny enough, in the remake, it's a little weird. The remake, uh, the Johnny Hayward, the character is played by Hiroyuki Ikeuchi, who's also half Japanese, but he's half Salvadorian.
Hmm.
So I wonder. That's a interesting casting there.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and also the I don't know if do you recognize Bo Stevenson, Bo Svensson? He looks kind of familiar. I don't know if he's a famous actor. He was in Kill Bill. He was in Inglorious Bastards. He was in Deep Space. His face looks familiar. I just don't.
I know what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, Bo Svensson. So this is the remake. But yeah, uh,
Oh, but you know what? It's missing is the the guy that was in the beginning. This guy.
oh, you're talking about Joe? Let me see. Joe. It should say his name's Joe Yamanaka.
I don't think I.
What- Did they just cut him
Yes.
out of the
That's
thing?
what I'm saying. I don't see his name.
Oh my god, he's like the most important character in
Yeah,
arguably.
he's not. He's not even listed as in the credits.
That's
That's crazy.
crazy. Well, I think maybe it's because he.
Hey, Johnny, where you going?
Wait, play the trailer. Hey Johnny, where you going? Oh, it's muted.
I know because it's too loud. Sorry.
Oh,
That's why.
I just wanted to hear the beginning. I always thought it was funny. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely like I said. The way it starts,
yeah, it's very it's
not.
very like
It's not what you think.
it's tonal
And,
whiplash.
and see, and it kind of, and they. This is the thing, okay? Play. They really do play a trick on you,
Hmm.
right? The way it starts and what he does at the beginning, right? And then he ends up dead, and you think one thing, like, oh, he was killed because of this,
Yeah.
and you find out, nope,
Nope.
not at
Nope.
all. And it,
Yeah.
in fact, it's worse. Like the reason why he's killed is worse,
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
far worse. It's yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah,
Um,
and you really feel bad for multiple reasons. He looks
yeah,
like Cowboy. He looks like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. That's not a coincidence. You're probably thinking of the detective played by, excuse me, Yusaku Matsuda. Yusaku Matsuda, like I said earlier, really famous Japanese actor. He was the inspiration for Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. He was the direct inspiration. Everything from his, not from this movie specifically, but more so from his appearance in a show called Tante Monogatari, or also known as Detective Story, where he plays a private eye who's pretty much Spike Spiegel. He's Spike Spiegel.
yeah, basically. So, which is pretty
So
cool. It's
yeah, I
actually
mean he
fun.
inspired a bunch of characters. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I
that
mentioned
big
some
mean
earlier,
spot.
Kenshiro, Aokiji from One Piece. I could go on. But those are the most famous ones.
Yeah, that's true, Ross. Man, it relies. It's kind of like almost like Wikipedia a little bit, right? So,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
I kind of
people
forgot
have
about that.
to. Because sometimes, and I think even if you're an actor, you can go in there and add yourself as long as you can show proof and all that.
Oh, okay.
You
I
know,
didn't
and
know that.
so that could be the case because IMDb is not like I said, it's kind of like it's more like Wikipedia. It's not like this big, you know,
It's like a public.
database.
It's like a
Yeah,
public.
it's
Yeah.
but it's not like this huge company that has millions of dollars and it's really not. It's actually like it's more close to Wikipedia where it's like a handful of people that
Hmm.
are curating this information. They set up the system where you can go in and add your info and all this, and you can set up an account, but it takes time. Like if you make a change, because I have a page for Super Galactic, right? and
Oh,
if
cool.
because I have it because I was developing it for movies, right? So it's still there, and it was a pain in the butt just to make that page because you know I had to like wait for them to approve things. It's not automated, right? Even though on the front end it looks like it might be, but it's really not. You like submit something, then it takes like 5 days
Yeah.
to show up because they gotta go through it and go, okay, then you'll get a reply. This we cannot verify, whatever, right? And it's an actual person that's doing it, right? It's not just a system, and so that could be the case with this particular actor not being listed. It could be, maybe he just never listed himself. Like whoever put this movie up is probably may not even be the actual director or producer. It could be
Right.
just someone else that started, and then everyone else said, "Oh, look, let me go ahead and add myself," and they added themselves when they made their page, right? And so
Hmm.
this guy probably never made a page, and
Well,
never
he
bothered.
passed away in well before I think
Way before
IMDb
IMDb.
created.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. See that, or exactly. So that explains a lot, right? So
Yeah. Well, he
that's
died
that's
in
unfortunate.
2011. Yeah, 2011.
20. I don't know how long has IMDb been around. I don't know,
I
but
don't know.
it's been around for a while, a long
Yeah.
time. So, but yeah, that's probably the case. It's just yeah. So it's unfortunate. Um, but yeah, check out the movie. It's a good watch. Very
Yeah.
entertaining and
Two
well
two
worth your
thumbs
time.
up.
Definitely two thumbs up. So
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, let us know if you want us to review more movies. Let us know what movies you recommend. Let us know if you want to learn more about international movies. I like watching Japanese movies. I mean, I like watching, movies.
we like watching movies, but
Yeah,
he has a particular interest in Japanese music as well as movies, and especially as it relates to the Western uh, audience because there's a lot of crossover,
yeah,
in music as well as in movies. There's a lot of collab crossover, and it's interesting, and this may be something to look into also. Um, in relation to animation, there's a lot of collaboration between French and Japanese
that is
animation
true. Yeah,
that's been going on for well over a decade. I mean, even way, go back decades, but in recent years, in the last decade or so, I've noticed that there's been a lot of French Japanese productions.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
There's
maybe
a
we can
couple
like
of
view
anime
some of
series
those
that are
things.
really popular
Yeah, 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 exactly.
in
So
French.
maybe we can talk about something because like there's that one. Was it motherfuckers, right?
Oh, the
Anyway,
motherfuckers.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
that's an interesting movie.
yeah.
Yeah, we can probably talk about that another time because And then what's the other one? There's was it Wakfu? I think
Yeah,
that's
Wakfu is
French
a
and
French
Japanese
animation.
also, and there's a few others. There's and that one's really popular actually.
I mean, there's
Wow,
a few. Lupin the Third is popular
yeah, Lupin. Yeah,
in Europe for obvious
that's
reasons.
right. Yeah,
Arsène
that's exactly
Lupin,
right. Yep,
right?
yep.
There's another anime called City Hunter that's apparently really popular in in France.
City Hunter.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so there's been a
yeah,
lot of collaboration, and so it'd be interesting to explore that, and kind of see because, like I said, I can think of a couple already, and actually, there's a couple more. I just can't think of the titles. Um,
mm,
so that'd be interesting to to talk about that and to get some of the background,
right.
because it's like there's Japan has spread its wings throughout the
Oh my
globe.
god,
You
you know
know,
what's crazy? I'm looking at the yeah, so City Hunter. It's kind of like it's a Lupin inspired. It is City Hunter is the Lupin of the '80s. As
yeah, I
um,
vaguely remember it. I don't think I ever watched it though.
yeah, it's like if you gave Johnny Bravo a gun. It's Johnny Bravo meets Naked Gun. That's the best way I can describe it.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But what's funny is that I'm looking at the the movie they made of City Hunter, and it looks so true to the anime that it hurts. we would never get this in such an accurate movie in America. This looks just like the anime. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I
Like
think
it looks.
that's one of their strengths is that when it comes to manga and anime, right? It's usually pretty spot on, right? It's
But this
they
is this is a
don't they
French
don't
movie.
deviate. They don't deviate. Yeah, but it's a French Japanese collaboration.
Actually, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like they don't deviate from the source material very much.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, so that's actually nice to know. So
The only change really is that his name is Nicky Larson. That's really about it.
yeah, and that's just yeah,
Localizations.
localization. So and that's understandable. Rosemaiden says so many European artists have moved to Japan to become mangaka and animators. Yeah, that's true. A lot of guys. Yeah, but yeah, definitely from Europe, especially France. Yeah, it's a lot of, and not just to be animators, but many are opening their own studios. Right? They're coming out there. They're starting with like a small crew or something and
Hmm.
doing like indie stuff. So yeah, I think Japan is becoming this sort of mecca for animation. So it'd be interesting, and hopefully, and that's another conversation to have regarding the industry over there and how their animators are treated and the wages and
Hmm.
things like that. That's been an ongoing concern. So
That is true. Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully maybe with that, because there's so much interest, maybe that'll help change things for the better. For the animators who are already there, right? For the Japanese animators and manga artists that are there already. you know,
Yeah.
so we'll see. You know, I've read that there is sometimes non-deviation stipulations in the contract. Oh, that's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, if you
I
if
think
you
we need that
pour
more often.
your blood, sweat, and tears into a manga, it took you years, even decades, right? Like with many of these guys, like the guy that did JoJo, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would. That makes sense. I would be like, you better not change a single.
Yeah.
Like how long it took me to write this and get this done, and
Yeah. I
like
think we need that more often.
yeah. So yeah, we need that over here. Like because Hollywood just does whatever they want. They don't care.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
yeah. So that's actually good to know. I hope that is the case, and I hope it continues. So easier for the anime and live action manga co-productions. Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it just honestly it just makes sense. Like if the thing that's working right that's built this huge audience of millions of readers right around the world in many cases, and you want to adapt it for television or a movie, but you decide I'm going to change the very core of the IP.
Yeah.
Like what? It's like what are you doing, right? Like what's the saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
And I think that's something current day Hollywood. That's a lesson they need to learn, right? Stop trying to quote unquote fix what's not broken, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, for many, in their mind, it is broken because misogyny or some other, you know.
Yeah. Last point, just to add on to that before we end, is one of my favorite movies is Castle of Cagliostro.
Yeah,
It's
same.
a Lupin third movie, and the it was directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Now, Hayao Miyazaki did not create Lupin the
That's
third,
right.
although he did work on the original show.
Yep,
That being said, when he adapted the version of Lupin and Castle of Cagliostro is not the same version of Lupin the Third in the manga, and
that's true.
even in the anime. Like Lupin the Third, Lupin in the original manga he's just a terrible person. Like he's
Yeah, he comes off more as a jerk in yeah.
right. Just like
In the cast in the movie, he's far more charming and endearing.
yeah. Now
And
that being
I
yeah.
think a big part of that is because it is more so westernized
Well,
than the
I don't want
story
to say
itself.
that. I think
Well,
it's more to do with Miyazaki himself.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, fair enough. But
Lupin was
it just
already
has
a
that feel to it.
international. Sure, but I mean, Lupin is already like an international story. It's not really a. It was already a pretty Western story. It's about a French uh, 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 professional thief being chased by Interpol around the world
Yeah,
with his American gunslinger friend and his Japanese samurai friend. So I mean, it's already pretty international. I think it has more to do with just Miyazaki's own uh,
his own sensibility.
sensibilities.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a known, I guess, feminist. I mean, you can see the way he portrays women in his own movies.
yeah. But
Now,
you don't really get that sense in Cagliostro. Like it's
well, in
to me
Cagliostro, he's definitely like
the opposite.
he definitely flirts
Not
with
that it's
everybody.
yeah, not
But
that it's offensive to women, but the way Lupin is presented is he's not exactly you know like I said, that's why I think it definitely has a more of a Western um, sensibility to how his character is portrayed. You know, um, which is
mm,
fine. It's not a bad thing, but yeah, it's somewhat different.
I only mentioned that because it's a deviation, but it's
Yeah,
not so much so that it's no longer
yeah, it's not a
Lupin.
major one, and it doesn't change the essence of the character at all. It doesn't. No one's gonna look at it and go, "That's not Lupin." Like that's not gonna happen. We're
Yeah.
talking about very nuanced portrayals, right? Versus literal, gender or race swapping, right? Like that's not where you know. It's like nuance is very different. So
Hmm.
so yeah, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually a great movie. It makes me want to go watch it now.
Oh yeah. Watch the manga dub. Don't watch the other dub. There's two dubs of it.
Yeah,
One's
that's right. Yeah, I know.
great
Yeah,
and
one of the
one's
dubs is terrible. Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Oh man, but yeah.
So yeah.
So that's our take on this movie, Proof
Proof
of a
of a
Man.
man.
Check it out. We loved it. We hope you'll like it too. And we're gonna cut it short. We're gonna go ahead and end our live stream today. We thank you for joining us once again. Thanks for listening and engaging with us and joining the conversation. We hope you'll do it again next week. And those who are watching the recording, thanks for watching. And please like and share. And go to our crowdfund, fundmycomic.com. Super Galactic Fantastic Dimension is still live. And I will appreciate any of your support that you can give. Whatever you are able to, whatever you want to, even if it's just sharing the link, we appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time and expressing interest and supporting us. So definitely check it out. And yeah, make it a wonderful day.
We'll see you around.